Welcome everybody. We'll be getting going in just a few minutes. This is being recorded and we will share the recording afterwards. Just wonder, are you able to use the react buttons? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen? Thank you so much. Some familiar names and some new names. Friends we haven't met yet. There's quite a few sign-ups, so we'll just give a couple of minutes more for people to join before we get into things. What do you normally do, Kelsey? Is it thumbs up for tea or hearts for coffee?
Yeah, that's it.
So if you prefer tea, thumb up. If you prefer coffee, give us a heart. Some and some. Still a few people joining, so we'll just wait another minute or two before we get going. Should have plenty of time for Q&A today. Many slides, but there might be quite a bit of Q&A. Has been on our last couple of webinars. We do have a little bit of interaction for you, with a couple of questions for you during the presentation as well. Good. I think I shall get going. There may be some others that join us, but thank you all for attending today on our short webinar on BI success, and in particular silver bullet syndrome. So you can see the agenda there. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about us in a second, and then talk about BI project success as an overview, and then dive into silver bullet syndrome, what it is, and the consequences of being trapped with silver bullet syndrome and what we can do to mitigate. We'll have plenty of time for Q&A and just a single slide on next steps. So a lot of familiar names are on this call today, so I won't spend too long on these slides, but we are a relatively small company. We've been going for 2 years now, and we're set up to support this new generation of Power BI developers, analysts and storytellers. And our watchwords are quality, integrity, respect, which means that we try to deliver everything world class in a totally honest way, respecting our colleagues and our customers alike and your money. And we do that through training, coaching, supported consultancy, and what we call innovation services. We're not just about Power BI. So if you're using Fabric, if you're using other data and analytics tools, we can help with those as well. Power BI is our speciality. And in the training arena, these are our training courses. This is a new diagram for those that are used to seeing the older diagram. Every rounded blue rectangle is a training course. and a lot of you will have done dashboard in a day. We've now got a new offering, or a new public offering anyway, Power BI dashboard in 2 half days for those that struggle doing it all in a day for free. So the one in 2 half days costs. We've been offering that to private organizations for a while. And then a lot of you are familiar with our 6 courses that work towards our Power BI Data Storyteller and Power BI Data Modeler certificates, and rolling up to our rupe certified Power BI Data Analyst certificate, which you can think of as being your Power BI driving license. And after that, you probably need coaching. But the other new one on here is this one at the bottom, which sits out by itself, BI Success. And you'll see it's in the same column as these Power BI Data Preparation Part 1 and Data Storytelling Best Practice and Principles. These 3 courses are really principles and design, as you can see from the legend in the bottom right. So these are the courses that we recommend you do after getting an overview of Power BI Dashboard in a day. But BI Success, you can do in isolation as well. A little bit about me. I don't have a monopoly on BI project success or project success at all, but I have been doing it a long time, far longer than I really care to remember, so over 40 years now. And I'm pleased to say that most of the projects that I've been involved in have been successful. However, not all of them, and being involved in a project that goes wrong is a very painful experience, as I'm sure some of you will testify to. But this BI Success workshop, our new training course that we offer, we bill it as a workshop because it's not just about me and my experience and our experience within rupe. You as attendees will bring along your experience and ideas as well. So we've got a lot of research behind this topic, and we generally know what works quite well, but we don't get it 100% right all of the time either. So one of the ways that we can look at success is consider it to be the opposite of failure. So it helps us to know why BI projects fail, so we can avoid those things as best we can. So why do BI projects fail? Well, the first thing to say is, according to a lot of commentators, most BI projects fail, 50 to 80%, and Gartner's widely quoted as saying it's 70%. Feel free to do your own research on that. Of course, it is quite subjective, and we need to define what success means in order to know that something's failed, and that is something that we talk about on the BI Success training workshop as well. How do we define success? But for your first question, and I'd like you to just put into the poll that Kelsey's going to put up, why do BI projects fail? So this poll, you should be able to put in multiple reasons. For some reason, Kelsey, I'm not able to put anything in. Is anybody else?
It's getting there.
I can't see it. How strange.
I think everyone else should be able to see it on their screens. I can see reasons such as stakeholder engagement, lack of preparation, poor design. You got it?
I'm seeing it now in the chat window. It's a bit strange, but yeah. So it's pretty small. So if you see me getting closer to the screen, it's because it's very small. So I'm trying to have a look at it. Look at lack of buy-in, data accuracy, unclear objectives, misunderstood objectives, unreasonable expectations, lack of preparation. A couple of those. Yeah. poorly defined requirements, presumably. Yeah, a lot. These are very common. And we picked out a dozen or so of the main reasons that projects do go wrong. And a lot of those that you've already mentioned, we're showing there. We've hidden the others. We'll tell you what the others are on the course, of course. But the one we want to focus on today is the penultimate one we look at, silver bullet syndrome. And what is that all about? So silver bullets stem from the myth that they were the only way to kill werewolves. And this is a picture depicting a beast that lived in southwest France in the 18th century that had made 210 attacks on humans, apparently, resulting in 113 deaths and a load more injuries. And it was reportedly finally killed with a silver bullet. And that term has been used over the years, and it really just means a miraculous fix, something that is going to solve all of our problems just like that. This particular book is a groundbreaking book for me. I don't know if any of you have read it. Hopefully some of you had. You can give me a mention in the chat if you have. But it's a very old book written by Frederick Brooks in 1975. So Frederick Brooks was a pioneer in the field of software engineering, and business intelligence, make no mistake, is still software engineering. You're still building software. But he devoted a whole chapter in this book entitled No Silver Bullet. The interesting thing about this book here, he wrote it in 1975, and 20 years later, he revisited it to test some of the prophecies that he made in 1975, and the vast majority was still true. So he was definitely a prophet as far as software engineering is concerned. He was one of the pioneers in the early days of building the IBM System 360, I think it was. So we obviously want to believe that there is some magical force that's going to eradicate the need for us to do any work. And the vendors are obviously going to tell us that that is true as well. So wouldn't it be nice if our dashboard could build itself in a few clicks and automatically answer all the questions that anyone could ever ask? Well, the good news is you can build a dashboard in Power BI or a report in Power BI in a few clicks. Is it going to answer all the questions that anyone could ever ask? Is it going to be well designed? I'll leave that question with you for the moment. But yes, we want that to be true. But you've probably heard, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So Kelsey loves her kitchen analogy, so we thought we'd talk about Christmas dinner. Now, if we get some of these pre-prepared vegetables and joints like this, and we've got a fantastic air fryer and a state-of-the-art double oven and a food processor that tells jokes as well, then Christmas dinner is just going to make itself, isn't it? We won't have to do anything. But there's much more involved. Now, I love cooking, but I find Christmas dinner a project. It's pretty stressful. There's a lot that goes into it. First off, we need a good chef, somebody that's going to come up with the recipe and then manage the whole process. We've got to confirm the numbers, how many we're cooking for, decide on the menu, buy the ingredients, plan the timings, and execute the plan meticulously. So just before we go on with that analogy, what in the field of business intelligence do you think has been promoted as a silver bullet?
All should now be on
AI.
your screens. Yeah.
AI, number one.
Dashboards.
Yeah,
Yes.
dashboards. One dashboard to rule them all. It's going to save everything. Power BI itself, yeah. It's
Spreadsheets. Yeah.
Spreadsheets. Yeah, I think Power BI, just the terminology Power BI dashboard in a day is sort of makes us think that, oh yeah, we could do it all in a day. And a lot of people attending that course have their eyes opened. It helps them to get real. Copilot in Power BI. Yeah, any new system. Yeah, absolutely, this new system. Funnily enough, we are migrating CRM systems at the moment, and we're thinking it's going to be a silver bullet as well, but we're tempering that. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these things, when you think about it, IT is an unregulated industry, so the vendors can say whatever they like. There's nobody regulating them to say what they can and can't say, and they can make fantastic claims. And there's a lot of fantastic claims around AI and other tools. So going back to our Christmas dinner analogy, if we line up a BI project with these things, what do we need to run a successful BI project? By the way, if the hole is in your way, you can just close it. So to line up with this, we on a BI project, our chef, we need an architect and a project manager. If you wonder why chefs might shout a lot and swear a lot, and think of Gordon Ramsay, it's because they're trying to be the person that protects the recipe, the design, if you like, as well as the person that makes sure that all the steps happen on time and it's delivered to the table and the customers on time. Super stressful to manage both of those things. And we'd recommend generally your architect and your project manager would be two separate people. We've got to confirm the numbers or understand the requirements. We then decide on the menu. That's our design. Without the design, without the menu, we don't have anything. We then need to buy the ingredients. So we might need to procure some software or some storage, get the right people on board. Plan the timings, it's project planning on a BI project, and then execute that plan meticulously. And of course, we'd have to do exactly the same on a BI project. There is some great software out there. Power BI is the main tool that we support. It has a lot of flaws, but it's pretty good software generally. And it's certainly the leader as far as Gartner are required. But there's some lots of great software out there as well. AI is maturing and it's helping us. It can help us to eliminate a lot of repetitive low-level coding. It can help us to write some complex DAX code, for example, sometimes. So it can definitely help us. But Frederick Brooks, in his book, argues that there's no single development in either technology or management technique which by itself promises even one order of magnitude, that's tenfold improvement within a decade. That was a big statement. That's one of the statements he made in 1975 and revisited and found it to be true. And he also went on to say, we cannot expect ever to see twofold gains every 2 years in software development like we see in hardware development. So when you hear a lot of hype, then I would recommend questioning that and being a little bit cynical. But going back to thinking about our chef or our designer, Frederick goes on to argue that there's a big difference between a good designer and a great designer, or a good chef and a great chef. And But even though things have moved on and advances in software and development have been impressive, we still haven't seen those tenfold improvements in a decade. And I would state that there's really no shortcuts to the hard work of understanding business processes and designing them to be modeled in software, whether that's a dashboard or a transactional system. It is hard work. It's been hard work ever since I started in software engineering in the mid-90s, and it's still hard work nowadays. And I haven't found a shortcut to it over that time. Programming the actual code may be faster, but the need for good analysis and design is paramount. And on this slide, I'd just like to leave you with that thought. If you don't think carefully about your design, your systems, your dashboards, your reports will fail. They won't get used, and it will be a lot of wasted effort. So in summary, don't be fooled by silver bullets. They could turn out to have your name on them, or a reported anonymous quote. It's not the bullet with my name on it that worries me. It's the one that says to whom it may concern. So that's a very short overview of silver bullet syndrome. And I'd just like to leave you with this question before we do open up for Q&A. What was the last silver bullet you either dodged or it got you?
Feel free to use the chat as well. Appreciate there may be some issues using the word cloud. Copilot, yeah, I've been a sucker for that one. I'm trying to minimize my use of it, or trying to use it in a way that helps me rather than it controlling me.
Yeah, it got me. When I was trying to write this BI success course, I tried to use Copilot to do that, and yeah, it was a complete waste of time. I've used Copilot for other things successfully. It's knowing what to use it for, isn't it?
Google search, yeah. CRMs, yes.
So we do a lot of work with universities, and we have done historically and still do. And we visited one university, or I visited one university to do a data and analytics strategy a few years back, and they'd lost count at, I think it was 12 different CRM systems they were using in the university.
So many silver bullets for many areas.
And Andrew Harrison saying it is an actual silver bullet of ChatGPT for him that's helping.
I guess that's it. It can be a silver bullet as long as it's doing the job that you intend it to, and that it's not, failing to meet expectations. You have clear idea of what it's doing.
Good. So yeah, most of us have been bitten one way or another, and yeah, we do get success with some tools as well, of course. So over to your Q&A. There are some QR codes there for you to do the webinar survey or book a call with us or send an email. Do we have any questions?
You should now be able to come off mute. You can switch your cameras on if you'd like. Doesn't need to be questions about silver bullets. It can be about BI projects and their success and failures in general.
And there's also a Q&A button at the top if you want to use that.
Rhoda,
Rhoda,
go for it.
how are you?
Hi, good. How are you doing?
Good. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's good to see you. Yeah, I have a question which I think is sort of related to silver bullets. So, we've been trying to both internally and externally find ways to make our data more accessible. We've got a lot of people that use our reports, on both sides who maybe aren't super data literate or they don't quite know what they're looking for, where to look for it. So I've had tasks recently around, is there any like built-in AI out-of-the-box tool that we can get? I'm thinking of things like Fabric, things like Copilot in Power BI that we can just put on top of the data that already gets fed into our Power BI reports, so people can ask questions, so they can have that slightly bespoke, questions that aren't immediately answered by the dashboards that we already have. And that, as a data analyst, that frees up my time not answering those little tiny questions that can't quite, come off that table. Have you had any success with those kind of solutions? Have you tested any of those? Have you got any recommendations, like what to look for? And yeah, just any thoughts would be useful. Thank you.
Yeah, so the legacy tool, which they just announced in this month's release for Power BI, the legacy tool was Q&A. So you can ask Q&A
Yeah.
on the data set. You've used that, yes?
I never enjoyed Q&A. Yeah, I saw that it was going and I thought, yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So what didn't you like about it? Or
Yeah, I always found, and maybe it was a case of me not putting enough effort into things like labeling and, different names for different parts of it. You'd ask it a question and it would pull together two totally different parts of the data that it thought were the same and they weren't, and it would, produce charts that had no real sense if you understood the data, right? Yeah.
yeah. So the replacement is Copilot, and ask a question of your data using Copilot. Have you used that yet?
No, so I've been going through a process of getting it enabled in the workspaces. So hopefully that's happening in the next week or so, and then I'll be trialing it. But I didn't know if you'd already tried.
No, I haven't personally. I'd be interested if anybody else on the call has used that. There's obviously Copilot requires you to have a Fabric license, or premium, presumably.
Yeah.
Which have you got?
I think so. I wanted to test Fabric and Copilot against each other, so I think I've managed to get a Fabric license through. Yeah.
Right. So, might have a. Yeah, you can't do it with a Fabric trial. It has to be a full Fabric
Yeah,
capacity.
full
So
license. Yeah. I did try, but couldn't get anywhere with the trial. Yeah.
So the I'd be very interested if anybody has got a comment on this, because I don't know. I haven't tried it, and I've been a little bit put off because of in order to use AI on a Power BI model, you have to prep the data for AI. Now, in my mind, if you've modeled your data according to good dimensional modeling techniques and you've put descriptions on that data, which, by the way, you can do with Copilot, and I have done that with a client, and that works pretty well. It has a good stab at it, so that can save you quite a bit of time. But even when you've done that, you have to go through another step of prepping the data for AI. And to my mind, you shouldn't have to do that step. It's just another step that we have to do in order to get AI to work, which seems a little bit chicken and egg to me. But we do have a couple of comments on this. Yeah, so interested in agents in Copilot, but you don't have the correct license and management aren't willing to purchase one. This is one of the big problems with Copilot. There's a lot of organizations that are not willing to invest in Fabric yet. Takami, MCP server, do you want to expand on that? not sure what that is.
MCP server is like connecting to the GitHub Copilot.
GitHub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then using it on the Visual Script code. Yeah. Visual Script code or something. And then you can do data modeling on it. So it's quite powerful
Oh,
tool
yes.
will be
Yes.
in the future. And they also suggest DAX measures when you are doing a data model and when you write what sort of analysis you want to do. And also they will do the documentation of the data model. Plus they can look after the table relationship. But I heard if you don't have a solid Power BI knowledge, then the robot is actually doing the work for you, so you don't understand what's going on. So it might make your project fail as well. But it's quite powerful too if you understand the Power BI properly and data modeling and sort of basics about Power BI. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks to Kami. It's I had, when you started speaking, I remembered I'd seen documentation on it in the Fabric updates, but I haven't explored it too much. Emily, agents in Copilot can be quite good if you get the instructions right. Yes, yeah. So I'm seeing and hearing caution, and you need to test them out. And I suppose it comes down to, do you want to be a trailblazer and test these things out? Or have you got the time to do that, the time to get it wrong, and find out what works? Or do you want to wait and let somebody else do that work for you and then find out what works from them? So I've done a bit of both, a bit of trailblazing, a bit of waiting. Data agent preview, anomaly detector. Yeah, you can highlight anomalies in Power BI on a chart itself as well. That was around before Copilot was hyped up. Yeah,
it's going to be one of those things where the sort of setup of the way our teams work and the capacity that we have, because that would require a new dashboard to be built, right? And I might not have capacity, and the people in the development team might not have the knowledge, and then we end up just not getting around to it. And if we can click a button in AI and get it to do it for us, it's one of those things we just need to test. And yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it comes down, going back to your original question, it comes down to, do your end users know what questions to ask and how to phrase those questions? And if they don't, they're going to get answers that they may not expect, AI or not.
Mm.
Good question. Opened up quite a bit of discussion.
Thank you for your help.
Any more?
I'll do one, Ian. As you know, we started
Hi, Andrew.
Hiya. You'll know that Alex and we started the whole Power BI thing within our organisation because we're developing. And whenever you're going back to silver bullets, Alex has moved on to a different department, but I'm starting to get a lot of traction in terms of the reports and dashboards and things. But from myself, the thing I'm looking at is, at the start, we didn't know what we wanted. So I just gathered all the data that I could actually find with the thought that I may use this at some point. So for me going forward, so I'm making, for everybody else, that they're enjoying what we're getting. But and I seen and I still see Power BI as a proper silver bullet. You know, it's making a huge difference. But I've made something that's so top heavy. There's so much data in there. So if I was to rebuild this, which I may end up actually doing when I get time, I would probably end up using about 10% of the data that I have available and that I have loaded. And I'm scared to take it out in case I break something and then I have to go back and figure the whole thing out again.
So was there a question in there, or?
It was more a point, you know, because it was, you know, the title, you know, about BI successes and stuff, and it's I suppose the question is, how do you know what data you need if the other people don't know, if your clients, whatever, you know, departments don't know what they actually have, never mind what they want or what they require?
Yeah, that is a really good question. There's the approach that you've taken is effectively prototyping, and you get stuff in front of people and they're going to tell you, yeah, like that, don't want that, I can I have this as well, and it's going to evolve.
Yep.
And that is, you know, that's an agile development technique, and it works. But of course you get lots of add-ons and baggage and pages you don't need and reports, etc., and loads of extra fields and measures, and so if you take that approach, then I think you have to have in mind that there will be a second system, and you might build that second system from scratch alongside, so you keep going with what you've got, but build the new system from scratch and just bring in what you need. There are a few tools out there, third-party tools such as Measure Killer and Power BI Documenter, Bravo, which will tell you what measures are not being used and what visuals are not being used, etc. So that they may help, but more often than not, it's probably better to start from scratch with your prototype being the basis of your design.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way of looking at it. Just take this as a prototype for what comes along after.
Yeah,
I think to help inform what comes after, that's where you have to go to the stakeholders and start asking them questions like, what is your job, or what questions are you trying to ask? Try and not make it so heavy on the data side, and try and understand what their needs and requirements are to do their job. And then you can translate that back to, okay, I have those requirements. What in my prototype can help me address those? So you have a bit of a back and forth between that.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think the cynical side of me is it's kind of like the old Jam song. You know, the public wants what the public gets, and they have they don't know what they actually need. I'm teaching them metrics as we're going.
Yeah.
It's funny enough, so one of the other chapters in the BI success is incomplete requirements and vague scope, and how do you deal with that? And you know, the quote that we often hear from developers is the users don't know what they want, and then what we hear from users is the developers didn't ask what we wanted, and it tends to be a bit of a truism from both sides, and it's difficult. And what I think what we find is it tends to be, we do recommend going out and collecting user stories, and trying to phrase your questions in such a way that you can start to design your data models and understand what data you need. But it's never complete, and you will end up doing an amount of prototyping. So it tends to be a mixture of what you've done. I think Andrew got everything in and done pure prototyping, and trying to gather requirements up front. It tends to be a mixture of those two.
Yeah.
So hopefully you get a little bit less waste, but you're still going to get some waste.
Katie's put in the chat just to say that they've recruited a technical BA to support the collection of user requirements. So not saying it's a silver bullet, but it's helping. And I guess that's it. It's part of the system that will help get you there, because not everything lives in isolation of each other.
Yeah, it's it's giving you that's giving you the tools you need to come up with a design. It's, if you did thinking about your menu for Christmas dinner, you need to know people have got allergies. You need to understand these things. If you're going to get an architect to design a house, you get a design brief. So yeah,
I think a big part of the issue, that I'm seeing, and it ties back. It's like, if they don't know what good looks like, you have to actually throw them tidbits here and there. And what about this? And what about that?
Yeah.
And oh yeah. And then
Yeah.
that starts their ball rolling. Oh, can you give, and then it snowballs. But that's why I'm still doing it a year on.
Yeah. Absolutely. It just goes back to what we said. It's, gathering requirements and putting a design together is not easy. It's not easy at all.
Yeah, if I'd have said to them, I'm going to spend the next year just trying to figure out what you actually want, I would have been chased.
Yeah, absolutely. There comes a point when you've got to start building. Definitely.
I think there's something to be said for, that's not just a data issue, that's an organization issue. Does the organization actually know what they need for success? Do they know what requirements are needed? It shouldn't just be you trying to figure that out. You need other stakeholders involved as well to push this along. Yeah, it's an organizational strategy, not just a data BI strategy.
Totally.
So Katie asked a question. Would you want, I'm guessing this is Copilot or AI chatbots, to be released to end users, or just the developers to develop more quickly, but with an understanding of what right should look like?
Yeah, that's a very good question. A very good question, Katie. And sometimes we categorize our users. We have developers, and we might have power users, and we might have end users, where the end users really do need their reports packaged and just to see dashboards and understand what they are. But your business analysts who understand the data a bit better, maybe that's a group that you could release some of these Copilot tools to ask questions of the data. I think that's a very good point. Rachel, I don't think there's a way to ever make the end user of any report will be happy with whatever is created. Requirements expected of me are frequently changed. Yes, absolutely. It's a cycle, report development. We talk about that on one of our other courses, data storytelling best practice and principles. Report development, dashboard development it's a cycle. You'll never be finished, because there's always, could you just, or the business change, or a pandemic comes along, and that used to really annoy me. I have big problems with OCD, and I want everything to be finished and done. Nowadays, it's the backbone of our business. Everything's changing. It means we're never out of jobs as data analysts. So I do welcome it. So yes, they will change. You will need to have version 2 of the report, and version 3 and version 4. Kieran, how are you doing?
Hello, very good, thank you. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, thank you for the presentation to you both. It's more just following on from that point really about, when does it finish? And the answer obviously pretty much is no. And I think that's probably where a lot of this thought about Silver Bullet comes from. Because, I've only been brought into the world of Power BI within the last 12 months really, and yeah, already got a lot out of it. But what you learn quite quickly is the expectations continue to change. Your objectives might shift around the more you use it. But there's this view, especially from this hype and silver bullet expectation that comes from that, that there is a point where it's done. And it kind of relates to what we do as a company with bow tie analysis, and this idea that once we've done the diagram, it's done. It's not. It continues to evolve with time, and you continue to build that picture and verify that it's still correct. Same goes for dashboards. So I guess given that the likelihood is, and I guess the purposes of webinars, you might come across people who see it as a silver bullet and that will solve their problems. How do you, in your experience and viewpoints, temper some of those expectations in conversations like that and help get across that this is an evolving picture? This isn't just static now. Now it's been created. How do you inform and get across that view? This will continue to change for the better.
Yeah, really good point. And this talks to the difference between BI projects and a BI function. And one of the things that we promote very strongly when we work with a new organization, and if we do a data analytics strategy with an organization, is that you are setting up a BI function. In order to do that, there may be a number of BI projects to deliver your BI framework, to deliver different subject areas, finance, HR, whatever it may be. But eventually you have a BI function, like you have an HR function and a finance function that do BAU. So as things change, as reports break, as refreshes don't work, they can fix those things. They can support the end users. They can train new users. They can make changes to reports. So yeah, it's an education piece, and it's one of the first education pieces that we try to get across, that this is a function that you're setting up. And when we're doing a data and analytics strategy, one eye is on the end operating model, which part of that is setting up this BI function, whatever that may look like.
Yeah, that makes sense. The idea that it's not just having the tool and using the tool, it's embedding it in the organization and setting up resilience within roles and responsibilities to keep it going and keep it communicated across the board.
Yeah. And we get clients all the time that, can you build me a dashboard? How much will it cost? And will that be it? Is it done? And it's, it's an education piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, that relates back to what Katie's put in the chat, how it's key to tie those points to change management. So identifying what does done look like, signed off scope requirements, what is an enhancement, and how is a backlog managed to keep, the project's finished, but how do we keep it going so that it can evolve further? And then Takami's also said previous place was failing with the data model transition, and they're doing it for over 2 years now, and the main issues were not enough resource, no clear plan, and the head of team did not have any Power BI experience on the user level. So it's all tangled up. The organization needs to have a clear direction and people power. Absolutely.
And there's Katie and Takami, two experienced project managers. I've got a few scars. Thank you.
Thank you for your views. Thank you. Good to see you.
Disaster level project management. Yes, there's a lot of disaster level project management around. You're very welcome, Edward. If you don't have any more questions, it is 10 to the hour. It's nice to have plenty of time for Q&A and to learn from other people's experiences as well. do please do the webinar survey. I don't know if we can get the link in the chat there. Kelsey, if you've got access to it. So let us know what you thought about this webinar and what your topics you'd like to see at future ones. We're trying to do one a quarter, I think, aren't we, Kelsey, at the moment?
Yeah, about one a quarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. And are we reminded that this forms, this is a little preview of our new course, BI Success. It is more like a workshop, actually, rather than a course. So attendees, along with Ian, will be discussing BI project success and failures and the reasons why that happens. So it's useful for not just those leading projects, also for those who are sort of working to get that project underway, the developers, the IT team, anyone who will have a stake in a BI project. So
yeah, I think that's an important point. So your stakeholders, if you can get them along to that course, that would help you a lot generally. It's if they understand what BI is all about, it's going to help you as developers and project managers.
If there's nothing else, no urgent questions, do get in touch. We recognise a few of you, so hopefully you have our emails, follow us on LinkedIn, whatever. And until we see each other again over another webinar or training, coaching, consulting, hope you will have a good Friday and a good weekend.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Reminder, please do the survey for us. It's important and we'll know what to focus on next time as well. Oh, Chris, did you have your hand up or was that just a...
I think it was a hello, goodbye.
It was a hello. It was a hello hand up.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks all.
Thanks everybody. Keep well and hope to see you again in the future.